Hello out there in YouTube land. Welcome to Chill with Claiborne. Was looking through some the immunities that the government uses. Uh, it was talking about absolute immunity and qualified immunity. Now we also know they have judicial immunity for judges, but it wasn't talking about that particular one in this where I was looking and it is on my community page if you want to go look at it. But anyway, the absolute immunity shouldn't have never been put in place. The people should have never allowed that one to ever, and I mean never, been chosen or let to be chosen for our government. We know that immunity is a insurance that is for government employees. But I want to talk about the qualified immunity and what I read in an article that I was reading, which is on my community page. It was saying something about actors, and agents. Now, this is what the qualified immunity was to protect in this article. And the more I think about actors, the more it fits. Most majority of your law enforcement, all the way to the top, are nothing more than actors. This may be why they don't know much when they come out of these police academies, because they was probably most likely being taught how to be an actor. You got law enforcement out here that honestly to God think they are the law. But that's not true. They're not the law. And people need to quit calling them the law because they're not law. They're law enforcers. That's not law. But they enforce the laws that the legislative branch puts in place. Now, actors are getting paid quite a bit in the police department. Look at how much they're getting paid yearly. And if you know their name and badge number, you can look up on the records of that department and find out exactly how much they do make. And this is why I believe 100% that most majority of the officers are nothing more than actors. They might as well just be on TV acting out their job that they don't know, simply because it wasn't taught to know it. Because actors don't have to know it; they just gotta act like they do. And that's what 99% of your law enforcement are doing. They're acting as if they know the law. That's why they will not acknowledge your rights. That's why they will not acknowledge case laws. They won't acknowledge anything to do with that because they was trained to act like they know it, even though they don't. It's strange, not only that, I mean, if we go back and we to the point where the immunity that the government is using was elected in, then we'll know why they are the way they are. Because I guarantee you, the qualified immunity and absolute immunity was not a thing when all this was first being put together. They hadn't thought of it. And most likely there probably wasn't no insurance companies at that stature in those days. Um, it's amazing though. It is amazing how many people, I'm talking to the elderly ones, have just sat around and did nothing. They've let their themselves be so distracted with things that didn't really matter at the moment, didn't really matter if they wasn't taking care of this situation right here. I don't care how rich you are. I don't care what kind of house you have or what kind of cars or trucks you drive. I don't care about all that. The government can come and take all that away in one single swoop, and there's not a thing you can do about it. So in other words, why brag on what you have because the government can take it? If you don't know your rights, then you really won't. You can't brag about owning this, owning that, because the government can come and take it at any given moment. There's no telling how much they can really do because of the people let them do it. They let them vote this stuff in. They kept voting the same people in because they got so used to those sweet, swelling words. People only vote people in because of how sweet their voice is. They care less of what that man is or that woman is or what they've done. They don't care. They're just so enticed and dramatized and memorized and all this just because of sweet, swelling words. But there's the price and the cost of your actions in the time you should have been taking care of this. Now your grandkids, your kids have already experienced it, or should be, or will be experiencing it. Your great grandkids and your great grandkids, great grandkids, get out a minute. This is what you've done. You have literally thrown them and handed them over to the wolves. How can you tell me you love your kids, your grandkids, and your great grandkids if you throw them to the wolves? Doesn't make sense to me. But it is what it is, and it's already been done. Now your grandkids, or possibly great grandkids, are now fighting what you should have fought. The government keeps us so busy at times, but we keep our own self 3 times as busier. Why? So we don't. It's this out of sight, out of mind mindset. That's the most garbagest thing I've ever heard in my life. That's a dangerous way to live. And it's not just going to affect you, but it's going to affect your kids, your grandkids, your great grandkids, and onward. All because of that mindset. Out of sight, out of mind. You all just simply ignored your job of protecting your family because you wanted the very best for your family. In other words, you wanted your family to have all the money that they can have. You wanted them to have nice homes. You wanted them to have great college degrees, nice cars, nice stuff. But none of that matters, not even your degrees. Doesn't matter when you're yielding or you're not fighting for your rights. Why? The government can come and take it at any given moment without question. You won't even be able to fight it. But I think it's a shame that we watch many videos. But we never take what we've learned on the video and then go and do researches on it to find out more about it and find out how we can address it the proper way, how we can really get change to come. Because we're too busy trying to make our kids and our grandkids and our great grandkids the ability to have a better life. Without understanding, without you teaching them their rights, they ain't going to have a better life. they're going to have a worse life. They're going to have it worse than you. And your great grandkids is going to have it worse. I don't even want to imagine what's going to happen to them by that point. A lot of it is a gray area, and the government created it to be gray. It gave them room to do whatever they wanted to do. But I guarantee you this much, those gray areas don't help us none. Them gray areas won't help us at all. It just gives them more opportunity to do what the government wants to do. If you're one of those that are only voting people in just because of their sweet swelling words, and you know good and well that what they're saying isn't going to happen, but yet you're still voting for them, you might as well not even say a word. You might as well not even open your mouth. Why? Just outright wrong. Outright wrong. Because we shouldn't have never allowed, they shouldn't have never been allowed to have qualified immunity. They shouldn't have never, the judges should have never been allowed to have judicial immunity, and the government should have never been allowed to have absolute immunity. By allowing them to do all this, you open the door for them to take full control and call themselves boss over you because of the immunity. Now, we know that qualified immunity can be removed from officers when the higher ups realize that they need to let go of that one because it's going to cost them far more down the road. It could even cause them to go to jail eventually because people are going to dig into it. And the more they get dug into, the more scarier and more scared they become. But we know that qualified immunity can be removed from one, and they can pay a price for it. Pay a price for what they've done. Now, absolute immunity would be nearly impossible. Might as well say it would be impossible to go around it. Because absolute means no matter what they do, nothing will happen. Because the government uses the absolute immunity and also the qualified immunity to protect how they do their thing. Now that bothered me. That bothered me a great deal when I read that. Why? Because if they think they're allowed to do whatever they want to do to you and I and not have to pay a price for it, then that automatically puts them above the law. Also, in that article I read, if you guys go to my homepage and read, it says them sovereign citizens, which tells me that the government is a sovereign government. It's above all laws. They're in the government platform. This is government itself, because government is a business. So the government itself can never be dealt with by anyone, because the business itself is under absolute immunity. The people may not always be, but the business itself is, because that can also cause no changes to come to anything that's being done. But we gotta wake up, people, and realize that it may almost be too late to get the qualified immunity and the absolute immunity done away with, because it's been allowed to hang around too long. Now, I don't know if we can absolutely sue the insurance company or not, because it may be under absolute immunity itself. It may have been given the absolute immunity for giving absolute immunity. So there's very little that could be done unless you can weave yourself around and go down the avenues that they didn't think of. Then you may be able to get it removed. All of it. But I seriously doubt that it will. So take some time. Take some time. Go to these places where you can research and look for yourself what's going on and what can be done and what cannot be done. I would hate to base my life, my freedom, my protection from someone else of what they're saying. That would be ignorant to base everything that I am and have off of what someone else is saying. That would just be foolish. Sounds like a child would do that because of the lack of understanding, not being educated in that area as a child. You would be be subject to do that. But a real grown up knows that they better be doing some research on it for themselves. Because no one gives account for what you do but you. No one gives account for the things I do but me. Everybody gets to give an account for what they do as an individual. Because you have the right to choose yes or no. So remember that. Peace.